What I'm going to do is take 5 minutes just to talk you through around Leeds Building Society, sort of groundbreaking way of assessing affordability for new build and therefore more energy efficient properties. But I want to give you sort of a bit of a backstory as to how we came about looking at this. So at Leeds Building Society, putting home ownership within reach of more people, generation after generation, is our purpose, and therefore we are very focused around first-time buyers. And the aim of this slide is to try and help you understand the sort of plight that first-time buyers are facing at the moment. The slide uses some ONS data based on the average house price in England versus the average salary going back as far as 1953. And the average house price back in 1953 stood at a whopping 1,692, with the average salary being £333. So that worked out as around 5 times salary. Fast forward to 2022 or 2023, and the average house price now stands at just shy of 290,000, with the average salary being at around 34,000. So you're at 8.52 times salary. So this particularly has an impact on first-time buyers, especially, and also young people, and their ability to get a foothold onto the housing ladder. With rates of home ownerships between the ages of 25 and 34 have pretty much collapsed over the last 30 years, and the average deposit that's required for a first-time buyer has gone from around sort of 62,000 and is now sort of jumping up. There were some figures out from TSB which show it's nearly at 70,000 now. So it's taken even longer for someone to save for a deposit, around sort of 10 years. And it's likely that they're going to need some form of help from their parents, whether it be that they get a gift from their parents or that they're going to be living for them rent free. So it's one of the major issues here is that there isn't enough housing stock in the UK, and there isn't enough homes being built. And we estimate from our own research that over the next 15 years that the UK is going to require a further 5 million homes on an average of around 340,000 a year, which is way above what the government's current target, which hasn't been achieved since 1971. So it means that housing is probably its least affordable for around 150 years, and it means that we need to do more about it. And so at Leeds Building Society, we've started to take that look of how can we help support this first-time buyer market. But we've also got the other sort of challenge at the moment, in that we need to sort of move towards being carbon neutral as a business. So it means that, as we've all sort of stated before, that we need to reduce our carbon footprint by 50% by 2030 and then get to carbon neutral by 2050. So like all lenders, we're working on our carbon emissions, the different scopes of 1, 2 and 3. And scope 3 in particular is the one that's probably going to be most relevant today, is that because that's based on our sort of wider supply chain, which includes our mortgage properties. When thinking about that, it's like, how are we going to be able to bring our average EPC rating up? The average UK EPC rating at the moment, from what I understand, is a D. How are we going to bring that up to a C to be able to reduce the amount of carbon that our properties are using in the UK at the moment? So this led to us looking at ways at how, if we were to help people buy more energy efficient homes, what impacts will it have on their actual costs, and then how can we fix that into affordability? So I draw your attention onto the slide to the bit just in the middle, EPCD. There's a yellow bit, shows that the average bill for 2022 was £1,179. But from looking at the ONS data that we use, we understand that it's going to be around a 20% saving if someone was to move into an energy efficient new build property rated A or a B on an EPC rating. We've taken some statistics which show that around 85% of all new build properties built since 2020 has an A or a B rating, and therefore those customers who are buying those properties will benefit from that 20% saving. So we've used that ONS data to factor into our affordability assessment to increase lending to customers buying new build properties post 2020 and rated an A or a B on an EPC rating. And I've got a slide next which will show you how that can impact your customers and the benefit it can offer them. So you see here, we've got just a standard scenario. This is actually a real life scenario that worked for one of our customers. So they're first time buyers and they've got a joint income of 55,000, with the first applicant having a loan commitment of £250 and the second applicant having childcare costs of £500. They're looking to borrow over a 25-year term with a loan amount required of 165 and the property value of 220, with a loan to value of 75%, as I mentioned, with one dependent. So these are some screenshots from our affordability calculator. I want to draw your attention to just to the bottom left-hand corner of the slide on the left. That shows that you've marked that the property's been built pre-2020, so it means that in our view it's second hand, and therefore you're getting our, I suppose, our normal salary multiple. So we know it's a second-hand property, and based on that, we can lend £156,066. So sadly, getting less than what they actually want. So we've now changed that the property is built from 2020 onwards. So therefore, the system now recognises that it's a more energy efficient new build property built after 2020, and we can then lend £178,807, which is an increase just shy of 23,000. So obviously this is a scenario that works very nicely to show you an example of this. I think the key things to remember when using this for your customers is that the maximum that we can lend to someone is 4.75 times their salary. So if you've got a customer who has got really good affordability, no dependents, no commitments, then the amount that we'll be able to lend them is 4.75. So if they don't have any debts or children, then it means it's very likely that that's what we're going to be lending them straight away. So there isn't any room for us to increase that, whereas it works very well with families who might have some debts or some children. So it means that rather than getting that 4.75 times salary straight off the bat, it means that they're going to be getting more like 4 times or 4.5 times salary. So it builds in that bit of space where we can then use the energy efficiency of the property to increase the loan amount that we're able to give them.